G'day, and welcome back to more Drongo. Today we are closing out the year by ranking all of the Magic the Gathering sets released in 2024. I will be rating every set from worst to best. I am only including the major releases, not of any of the smaller stuff like Ravnica Clue and the Secret Lairs. To start us off, I'm ranking the Assassin's Creed set that launched on the 5th of July in D tier. I may be biased because I've never played an Assassin's Creed game, but to me, after all of the excitement of Fallout earlier in the year and the success of Lord of the Rings in 2023, I expected more. Assassin's Creed felt like it really fell flat, being sandwiched between a strong offering from modern Horizens 3 and the extremely popular Bloomburrow. It was easily overshadowed and the hype around it died extremely quickly. Along with this, the art really didn't capture me, and while it does tickle me slightly that we did get some cards based off famous historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci and Socrates, overall I don't think it hit the mark to what it could have been and ended up being a very forgettable set overall. Next, I'm going to rank Murders at Karlov Manor in C tier. It launched at the start of the year on the 9th of February and notably introduced play boosters for the first time. Whilst I think the concept of having a detective mystery on the plane of Ravnica is fun, ultimately I don't think the set did enough to establish a strong enough theme and identity around that beyond feeling just a little bit gimmicky. When I think about the set overall, the only thing that sticks out in my mind is the lands and some of the highlight art cards such as Teysa, plus being one of the first sets of the year in a year of so many releases, and a lot of really strong ones at that. I think that it simply just didn't do enough to warrant a higher grade. On the list now is Ravnica Remastered, again in C tier but just ahead of Murders at Karlov Manor. Launching on the 12th of January, it combined the 3 previous Ravnica blocks into a draft-focused offering. For me, as somebody who only got into Magic in 2019, the retro frame versions of all the cards is neat, but it simply does not have the nostalgia factor for me, which I feel like for others would make them much more desirable. It also felt like a very weird set to combine the old retro style treatment alongside the newer anime art variants of things such as Divine Visitation, Cyclonic Rift, which I think hurt the set's ability to actually feel like a cohesive product despite being strong and having a lot of desirable cards such as the iconic Shocklands. Finding its way into B tier is Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Launching on the 19th of April, this set was a great example of nailing the theming and being consistent with it in the branding, mechanics, and art. In my mind, despite being a little gimmicky at times, I think it really worked overall extremely well. Whilst it doesn't have the strongest card lineup for some formats, it did have some absolute monsters that saw a lot of play, and I think the art within the theme is just chef's kiss. I can't help but love it. My only regret is not opening more of this when it released, but hopefully I'll be able to change that in the future. Next up, also just sneaking ahead in the B tier, is probably my most controversial take on this list, and that is Modern Horizons 3. Releasing mid-year on the 14th of June, Modern Horizons 3 is arguably the strongest set of the year with its card offering. Unfortunately for me, when I think about it, I just don't find myself excited by it. This is probably because I'm very much a more casual Commander player compared to others in the community, so I put less weighting on really powerful, playable cards than some others. Whilst it did have some outstanding artwork that is up there with some of the best of the year, such as Flare of Fortitude, Bloodstained Maya, and all the delightfully creepy Eldrazi cards, it just doesn't do enough to rate ahead of the other upcoming sets for me. At the very top of B tier, I'm putting the Fallout set. Releasing on March 8th this year, this set really nailed the art and had some super fun Commander Precon offerings and introduced the Rad mechanic. Ultimately, I think this set combined a bunch of really great theming, art, and game concepts to really set the bar of where I think other Universes Beyond sets need to try and hit in the future. I may be biased because I am a huge Fallout fan, but I cannot understate just how much I enjoyed opening this set, and I hope to open more in the future. The Fallout Boy themed artworks are an obvious standout, along with it being fun and quirky, but I do think it missed a little bit of the punchiness and edge that sets above this had in terms of impact. Our first entry into the A tier for 2024 set release is Duskmourn. Launching on the 27th of September, this horror-themed set brought a bunch of cool cards and mechanics such as room cards. The theming of this set really comes through in every card, from the mechanics to the art. It just oozes unsettling horror themes, and even if they're not the strongest, it has some of the most fun interactions and combos. There's also a lot of really interesting abstract style artists found in this set, with cards like Marvin the Murderous Mimic, Come Back Wrong, and you can't forget some of those glorious anime full art cards as well. Overall, I think this was a superb set and a worthy third place overall for the year. Picking between the next two sets was really tough, and I originally only wanted one set in S tier, but instead I'm putting two in there. The first of which is Foundations, the last set release of 2024, which happened on the 15th of November, with a focus on establishing a core set of cards for the next 5 years for players to build around and get into the hobby with. It was also the product that I personally opened the most of this year, and I think they really nailed the various products released for this to appease new players and old alike, with stuff like the beginner box and the starter collection being perfect to help new players get into the hobby, and for casual players who maybe only have experience playing with precons to help start them drafting their own decks. The set itself had a bunch of really strong and playable cards that appeal to veteran players, with tons of combos, interactions, and viable deck builds, all within the one set that made sure the chase cards in Jumpstart, Play, and Collector boosters were all extremely popular. Art-wise, it perhaps wasn't the strongest set of the year in my opinion, and while a cool novelty, I feel like the mana foil is a little bit on the nose, but it was good enough with standouts like the anime Doubling Season and Llanowar Elves, and then the gorgeous old art cards like Herald of Eternal Dawn and Rise of Dark Realms to still rank highly in my mind. Overall, though, it felt like a lot of thought went into the execution and the product offering for this set, and I think Wizards knocked it out of the park with this one. Finally, as you will have guessed by now, my favorite set of 2024 is Bloomburrow. Releasing August 2nd, Bloomburrow I think surprised everyone with just how successful it was. When I speak to a lot of people in the community, Bloomburrow is the #1 most credited set this year for getting new people into the hobby, and as an acquisition set, it was unparalleled in a lot of ways. I feel like Foundations was also the perfect set to bring out after Bloomburrow to really capitalize on those new people. While its precons aren't the strongest out of the box, I do think they are some of the most varied and interesting of the year, which creates a lot of fun, along with being able to be easily upgraded to create some really potent decks. Additionally, there is a huge amount of meta-defining cards and iconic new artwork for beloved old cards in the reprints. The theming of Bloomburrow was absolutely outstanding. I also still adore the seasonal variants they decided to print for the lands in the set. The showcase treatment for the Bloomburrow set was also my favorite of the year, with many stunning offerings. My personal favorite treatment of the year with alt variants was the old school nature journal sketch style. Plus, you can't forget the big chase cards with some of the raised foil variants for cards like Jace, Liliana, and Chatterfang. Overall, whilst it is tough to rank all of these sets, Bloomburrow just had enough going on for it that it takes my first place in 2024. In fact, I like it so much that I'm going to be starting out 2025 by opening a collector box of Bloomburrow on this channel, so stay tuned for that. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Let me know how I went in the comments below. If you want to complete this tier list yourself and share it in my Discord or with me on Twitter, I'll put links for all of that in the description of this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all for some more Magic the Gathering content very soon. Cheers.